to come on today and talk about Black fathers and shared parenting and why we should care. I am Dr. Tori J. Evans Barton. I am the founder and CEO of the Fatherless Generation Foundation. And there has been a lot of things going on around shared parenting and shared parenting legislation in various states. I have been one of the speakers at the hearings in Georgia. And I've been a strong advocate for shared parenting for quite some time. The work that I do is in reunification. We help fathers reunite with their children, but we also, in that process, see a lot of the barriers that dads experience. And so many of those barriers have to do with court. No one wants to go to court to fight for their children, but it is part of the journey for so many. I want to talk about this subject because I'm going to keep it honest and keep it real. I want to talk about this subject about Black fathers and shared parenting because it did come up in a conversation during legislation. So some of you are going to come on here and get real tense. It is a tough topic, but we're going to come on here and we're going to listen. Why does color have to be a part of it? Because legislators made it that way. Why do we have to say Black? Because race has been politicized and is impacting how policy is legislated. And so let's not get offended. Let's not put ourselves in a position where we don't want to listen because we don't like the fact that this is a conversation. Hey, Charles, I see you on here. I'm on your page, boo. But I'm also on my page. So I want you to listen with an open heart. I do notice how many in the shared parenting movement who are not Black get very offended and upset. Breathe. I'm going to repeat what I said a moment ago because I see people jumping on. Why should you care about Black men and Black fatherhood in the midst of shared parenting? Because race has been politicized and it impacts how policy is legislated. Let's get into this. There are very clear distinctions as to race and how it plays a part into legislation, as well as how fathers are seen in a courtroom. Now, many of you who are of other races will say, well, I didn't get a fair shake and I don't feel, but I want to come to you from studies. There was a 2014 study done in the Berkeley Journal of African American Law and Policy. And one of the quotes that they have is there was extreme challenges with African American men obtaining custody due to the stereotypes that surround their masculinity. That's a study, you guys. There's a question, like there's barriers due to stereotypes. Now, I can tell you that I see the stereotypes happening on for men in general. The stereotypes happen to be that you don't desire to be active, that fatherhood is equal to domestic violence. We'll talk about that a little bit in a moment. But I need you to know that stereotypes have some glimpse of truth, but there's always the bold-faced lie. And stereotypes aren't for everyone, right? So the stereotypes that Black fathers deal with, that they're absent, that they don't want to be involved. And in being absent, that means that they chose to be absent. That's a stereotype. And that's one of the barriers that exists. There was a 2019 study done, and it showed that although Black fathers may not be married to the mother, maybe post-divorce, maybe separated, they were never married. There's a lot of individuals who have non-marital births. That is on the increase. But the study showed that out of all of the races, that Black men were more involved with their children while not living in the home. That's not to disparage anyone. We are being very specific about Black fatherhood in the midst of this conversation. And we're dispelling the stereotype that I just quoted. I want us to pay attention to that stereotype. The Black fathers are absent, and they're absent because they want to be. I've seen that post. I saw an individual who was not Black when it came to talking about shared parenting on a page concerning, I want to say it was the Unwed Fathers page. And I don't think he'll have a problem with me saying it because I believe that he posted something in reference to Black Fathers Matter, and the person got upset and said, Black fathers don't matter. They don't want to be present. I then asked the question, are you saying that only white fathers are forced out? And she said, yes. It was a white lady. She said yes. That is a stereotype that is not true. Black fathers are more active than any other race outside of the home. Part of that is I think they've just been able to navigate this a lot longer, and they've had more experience because they've been dealing with it for a while. I'll get into that in a moment. And so they know how to navigate it outside of the system in ways that other races hasn't figured out because it's very new to them. Number 2 that I want to list, the other stereotype about Black fathers that exist, unable to pay child support. And when you're unable to pay child support, it's synonymous with being a bad father. I know the statistics. I say them all the time. I got a call this week where someone was asking me a question because it was said, Black fathers need to focus on paying their child support, something like that. And when we were in a hearing, that was one of the statements made by people in the opposition. They literally attacked a Black father who was standing at a podium talking about how successful he's been as a father and how they're active in their children's lives. And one lady said, well, can you tell your friends in the room to pay their child support? The whole room cringed, and definitely a lot of chit chatter. It was a way that you had to calm down the room. Many of you don't even realize that you're being instigated and egged on and baited, and you're taking the bait in a courtroom via text message, via phone call, via email. Don't take the bait. I talked about that on a coaching call that I had recently. But let's give the statistics on child support. 73.4% of child support, all child support. Hey, Darren, of 73.4% of all child support is paid in half or in full. We know that's like a $42 to $44 billion in a year industry. So somebody's paying. And the men who are paying in half or in full actually have some type of custody rights, whether it's through the courts or the mother and them have a great co-parenting relationship and they see their children. There are 26.6% who are not paying their child support at all. And guess what they don't have? Access to their children. When you look at the Attorney General's information, you learn that 70%, I believe it is. 70% of all child support that's owed is owed by men who make less than $10,000 a year. So is it an issue that I don't want to pay if I'm not paying? No, I don't want to pay for a child that I can't see, and I don't have the ability to pay. But that's a stereotype that's been placed amongst Black men. Why should you care about Black men and African-American men as fathers? I want to tell you that Black men were the first men to experience this. Go to the Moynihan Report. The Moynihan Report, it specifically details how policy was instituted to remove Black fathers out of their homes. First, you guys were not removed. There was a policy. This is why I need you to know. This is why Black fathers matter. Don't get caught up in, well, why does it have to be Black? And why do we have to talk about race? And why? Because policy does. And until this world is fair, until we are not being politicized by this stuff, we have to talk about it. It may be uncomfortable. It may not be something that you want to discuss. Maybe you're not educated on it. Maybe you should get educated so that you feel more comfortable. If you don't, if you're not Black, maybe ask some brothers on your page. How do you feel? Ask questions, have dialogue. That's why you should have more people in your circle that you can have honest and open dialogue with. Number 2, Black men are more likely to grow up fatherless, creating a whole nother set of issues, which is trauma, which then also creates them creating another fatherless generation. And you should care about Black fatherhood because fatherlessness goes into the fact they don't even know they need to go to court. And then the fear of and the idea of I have to go to court feels criminal. They're not going. Number 3, Black men are more, and these are studies. I've quoted some of the places that you can find these studies. Black men are more likely to be treated unfairly in family court. And once again, I know you're like, but I was treated unfairly and that didn't, and this and that. And yeah, more likely doesn't mean that you won't be, but they are more likely to be than the average, than the standard. Unfairness in court and bias in court against men is one thing. But when you're a Black man, it goes to a black man, it goes to a whole nother level. Okay. So I want you to be open to having the conversation and not get your panties in a bunch because we're talking about race. We don't all look the same. Race is a thing. Embrace it, but don't discriminate. Don't be a racist. That's the conversation we need to have. Race is obvious. You see, I can look out my window and I can point white, black, Hispanic, whatever. And then this other part here in South Florida, I may be wrong because I don't meet many individuals who are American, meaning black or white. I meet a lot of people from South America and the Caribbean here. Whole nother conversation. The other thing, number 4 that I want to talk about is legislation for all is being upheld because of stereotypes around black men. Now, that's not for you to disparage black men, but that's for you to think about why you should care about black fathers, black men and their fatherhood. Legislation is being upheld because of the stereotypes surrounding black men. They believe black men are this and that and don't pay their child support, don't want to be present, don't want to be. It's upholding your shared parenting. And you have to bring more individuals into the movement, whether black fathers, black mothers, Hispanic fathers, Hispanic mothers. More people of color need to come into this movement, but they have to know they're welcome. Why more black men should join the shared parenting movement is my next point, because it gives you a starting line of custody and parental rights. Your starting line is custody and parental rights, not proving that you deserve to be a father, not saying that, oh, you're absent, you only want to be present. You got to prove that you want to be present. No. Shared parenting gives you a starting line of custody and your parental rights. Why don't more black men participate? I'm going to give you 2 here. They don't know it's an option. I'm going to give you 3, I think it is. Yeah, they don't know it's an option. I've talked about, good morning, Johnny. I've talked about this with black fathers, and that goes into my number 2. They think joint custody is the same as shared parenting. They think joint legal custody is the same as shared parenting. And we all know that it's not. I'm not going to get on here and talk to you about the legalities and the details of what custody looks like. But black fathers they think joint custody is the same thing as shared parenting. And then when they get every other weekend, they're confused or they just take it because that's the standard. And I will give you number 3. One of the reasons I see that more black men don't participate is the very reason that some legislators don't feel black men, or legislators don't move on this bill, whether it's in Georgia, Florida, wherever the bill may be. Like legislators, black men see shared parenting as a middle-aged white Republican male movement. And we're going to have to change the narrative, and we're going to have to change the face. And we need everybody on board. We need black, white, Hispanic, immigrant. We're all such a diverse world. Like, we all come from different places. We have different experiences, but our world is diverse. And we need to show that in the shared parenting community. We need to show women in the shared parenting community who are advocates for this work. We need to show whether they are single moms, whether they are fatherless children. We need to have that work go forward in that way. We need to have this work go forward in this way, where we can see every dynamic and everyone moving forward as a unit. So I want you guys to join together. Share this video with a black father that you know. I'm telling you, they don't know it's a thing. Share it with them so that we can ensure that we can all join together to ensure that children, no matter their race, that they are able to have both parents be actively involved in their lives and move from there. Let that be the starting line. So I thank you guys for joining me. This was a very quick live. I was just jumping on here for a few minutes. I was talking. Men are so crucial and great advocates. Women. Charles is saying on my page, I got 2 things going on here at the same time. Charles is saying women are so crucial and great advocates. I'm one of them. So join the movement, share this with a Black father so that we can all come together to do this work. So we can all come together to push the fact that children deserve both parents equally and without question. All right, I'm Dr. Tori J. I'm going to get off of here. You guys have an amazing day. I'm going to get back to work. All right, I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.